And we are live and in colour, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another Sunday on the tail end of lockdown, which is freaking awesome. Level 3 as of Monday, Tuesday, whatever the hell it is, next week-ish. So some of us will be going back to work, some of us still not being able to work, but it is what it is. But we're on the tail end of it now. I think we've had our second day with no new cases of COVID, which is awesome. Actually, the funny thing about that, I don't know if anyone else is actually keeping up with the whole statistics thing, but I jumped on the interwebs early this morning and was looking at, we've had like 1,117 confirmed cases in New Zealand, and apparently we've had 1,118 recoveries. Can anyone tell me how that works out?
It's New Zealand math.
I don't know. That was on the international website. Showed the world numbers, and it said there 1,117 confirmed cases, 1,118 recovered.
We've actually had a confirmed case in Taranaki today.
Really? That's the first one in 2.5 weeks.
Yeah.
Wow.
But it might be that it's actually they got infected outside of the country.
Yeah, possibly.
She came back from France 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago.
Okay,
and she felt sick again, so went and got tested on Friday.
Yeah, well, so that's been the thing too. Is a lot of what's come out of it lately is that there's been it's also it's asymptomatic. So a lot of people are carrying it and not even realizing it. So that's the biggest scare of leaving lockdown early and having people asymptomatic and then going back to work and everything else, and having this all flare up again in a month's time, and having to go back to level 4. So hopefully we'll be okay. But anywho, back to the thing at hand, D&D. Time to leave the real world behind and enter the world of Paradigm Bold, our fantasy world. Episode 35 tonight. So we are over 12 months in, having lots of fun. Characters are now level 9-ish. You just inhaled a moose. Okay, Drax, now I'm concerned. A moose or a mouse? A moose or a moose? Yeah, exactly. I know he's been having mouse issues. Anywho, unless anyone else has anything overly important or not important to say, we can get right into tonight's episode of the show. Right, recap. He was eating a moose for dessert and it went in the wrong way. Right. What was that, Trash?
We're all dead.
You're all dead? Well,
We're
not quite.
We're all alive.
You're still
We're
alive.
Fighting undead.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Right, recap. You spent some time in the township of Beaufort waiting for your wagon, which was promised by Captain Morgan to be prepared, resting and sorting provisions. Sadiq decided to do some reading on this one-eyed beast, aka the Beholder. You found some interesting information about the Tomb of Horrors and this particular entity. You spend the night in the Beaufort Guild Hall, where that evening you all ate and drank. Some drank more than others. Some showed off their dancing skills. Het was drawn to the edge of town and finds a new companion in the form of a large, hairy spider. You find rest that evening, and in the morning you all feeling okay, apart from one person feeling a little hungover. You make your way to the barracks to procure your new mode of transportation. You then head off and set out towards Helonde. Sadiq and Bash up front and the rest of you in the back. Het reveals his newfound friend to the group. During the course of this travel, Bash smells death and blood, implores Sadiq to stop the wagon, and we find a dead body lying off the side of the road. Mr. Hairy Spider Grillick goes to investigate and found a body mauled, disemboweled by some form of wild animal, Then after a short time, a series of howls are heard, and you are all set upon by a large pack of wolves. But these wolves are no match for the lions, and you easily dispatch them. And this is where we rejoin the Lions of Helonde, sitting at the edge of the road. Sadiq having skinned the Killick, that's right. I was thinking something else. Sitting outside the road, Sadiq had skinned the animals and had hung the hides on the wagon, on your guys' wagon to dry. And pretty much the rest of you were still just hanging around, sorting out the rest of it. Alessandro's had mentioned possibly going to have a look at the wolves' lair. So, team, this is where we pick up tonight's episode 35, Helonde's Plight. Dog is going Burko. Nuddy, would you please like to go just bring him in and put him to bed? But yeah, so what are we up to, guys? You're on the side of the dirt road, wagon parked in the road. You've just finished a combat. Sadiq has skinned a few wolves.
I believe Ali wanted to check out the den.
She did indeed. So, is Alessandro, are you travelling to the den on your own, or is someone going with you?
Does someone want to come with me?
What are we doing? I'm sorry, I missed that.
Hitch thinks it's pertinent maybe that we all stick together if that's the case.
I think you're right, Mr. Het. I think if we're going to be checking anything out in these woods, I think we should all go together.
But we need the horse and cart to be safe, maybe.
We just pull it off the side of the road over here, and Bash points out there's a little bit of a clearing right where the wolves sort of come in to the western side of the road, sort of where you entered this area, and there's a bit of a clearing there which is just off the road where you could potentially tie up the horses, which gives you pretty much an eye line to the wolves' den.
Sound like a good idea.
So with
There's
that,
also a body, isn't there?
yeah, that the body's been there for days. Like it's pretty well bled out. It's partially eaten. You can search the body if you like, still though.
I'll follow behind Ali.
So Bash goes over and grabs the horses and sort of leads turns the wagon around and sort of leads it back to the clearing a little bit. Hitches the horses up to a tree, and pulls the wagon off to the side of the road. So, are you all following Alessandros? I know Bash is, Fiala is.
Yes.
Inari sounds like she is. Sounds like she's got a cold. Corona.
Yes, and Harry is following.
Speak up.
How's that?
It was louder. Your whisper was louder than your speaking.
The microphone in front of my face.
Don't lie, Auntie. Anywho, it doesn't take you long. The den's only about sort of 60, 70 feet from the side of the road. You sort of round a few trees and a few rocks, and you come to a big rock formation, big natural rock formation, and a low lying cave entrance, which you see around the front of it. There's a few bones and bits and pieces, and there's lots of fur around the entrance as well, which would lead you to believe that this is potentially the den of these particular animals.
Master Het,
Yes.
would you ask your friend if he could scope out the inside of the den for us?
I can do that. Killick, and Het just uses his mind to tell Kellic the rest. He gets Kellic to scope out the den. Het will glaze over his eyes and use his vision for the spider's vision.
No problem. So once again, Het's eyes roll over white. Het, you are deaf and blind while transporting your mind into the mind of your companion.
Anyone got a
And
permanent marker on them? Anyone?
Het sits down on the ground while he does this.
and Kellic scuttles forward. You guys hear that the sound of it, because he's aside, that sound of his feet and that on the ground as he sort of skitters inside the cave. Does Kellic have dark vision?
Yes,
Or
Kellic does.
He does? Awesome. So Kellic sort of enters the beginnings of this cave, this little cave, and as he walks forward and sort of looking around, what you see Het is again more bones. Is an old carcass, looks like might be a deer carcass off to one side. That's probably been there for quite some time as well. The skin is tight against the bones and doesn't look like there's a lot of meat left on it. It looks like it's pretty dry. Scanning around the cave, it doesn't go back very far, probably maybe 20 or 30 feet before it sort of, right at the very back you almost see almost like a nest kind of thing. It's been a whole lot of fur has been built up, and it looks like this is where probably either the alpha or the beta have probably made a bed and has probably produced pups at some stage. There is nothing in the cave that apart from that, doesn't look like anything man-made can be found in here. Kellic sort of scutters around for a few moments, and that's pretty much about it.
Can Kellic do an investigation of the cave to see if there's any other exits or tunnels out or something hidden?
Sure thing. Roll investigation.
And that is an 18.
An 18. Looking around, there's a few like natural crevices and stuff that probably Kellic will probably get into, but nothing discernible of any discernible size that would denote any kind of passageway per se. But from a spider's perspective, there's probably a few places that he could probably squeeze in and investigate further.
No, if there's nothing big enough for the animals or us, that's fine. Het will relay all this information as he's sitting on the ground to the team, and then he will click his fingers and Kellic will come back and be just at his feet.
And so it is done, and as Kellic returns, Het, your vision and your hearing restores. You once more are able to hear and see from your own perspective, and that information is relayed to the rest of the group.
Doesn't look good. Doesn't look like there's any more there, team. Just the bodies that I saw. Sorry, the skins or carcasses or whatever you want to call it. What's your plan, Ellie?
That's all I needed to know.
Right then, it's getting. I think we're getting mid-afternoon. It's getting a bit late. I think we should probably get going. We might have to, at this rate, we might have to camp before we get to Helonde. Or unless you're gonna just travel in the wagon, I guess. But we best get going.
Yep, let's go.
So do you all head back to the wagon?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's almost a bit disappointing that there was nothing in there.
So you.
Can't always win in a hurry.
So you head. You were at the wagon the whole time, Pekka?
We're skinning wolves.
No, you'd skinned them. You were hanging them on the wagon. But either way, it was all good for you to hang back at the wagon, no problem. So you'll meet back at the wagon. Sadiq has been during this time had sort of peeled off some of the goop and stuff from the hides and hung them from the sides of the wagons. You now have how many did we say you got? 3, 4?
4 winter and 1.
That's right. Guardian. Yeah, the Guardian wolf, which was the bigger of the 5. So yeah, so you've hung them as best you can along this wagon. The Guardian wolf, you've probably had to sort of stretch out across the top, almost like a covering to the top of the wagon, which would probably actually help make it a little bit more waterproof.
Blech.
That's not that bad.
Yeah, Fiela's kind of still hungover, so she's probably not feeling the best, and yeah, the smell of fresh blood and stuff is probably not sitting too well with Fiela. But Sadiq, you get back in on the front, and Bashed rejoins you. The rest of the team pile on back into the back of the wagon, and you reset off towards Helonde. It's a reasonable day. There's a little bit of cloud, nothing too major, but it's a pretty good day. There's a few birds. There's not really anyone traveling this road this day, though. So the one thing you guys do notice, there's no merchants. No one traveling, and which is a little bit of not a big concern, a little bit of a concern, but not huge. But after another hour or so of traveling, you do notice, everyone sort of notices that the time of the day is drawing on. You left relatively early-ish in the morning. By the time you sort of got here and you've had this battle and done this investigation, we're now sort of leading into sort of early mid-afternoon. You're probably about halfway from what Bash has told you to Helonde. You can press on into Helonde. He reckons you'll get there pretty much right on dusk if you press on.
Just to refresh, what was the problem with Helonde at that stage?
Helonde apparently had been overrun by undead.
I vote we camp now and head off in the morning. That way we're not going to be inundated with more than usual.
What, you scared, Miss Alessandra? It's just a few undead. Nothing to be worried about.
Anyone else?
It was the reason why we got the cart, though, Ellie. So
I mean, we could take them by surprise. If we get there at dusk, we can scout around the village and just see what's happening. We could get the element of surprise.
All right then.
I mean, it's up to you. I mean, I'm not part of this group, obviously. I'm just here to help out. But I do know a thing or two about tactics.
Yeah, Ellie, are you not feeling so good?
No, I'm fine.
Does Ellie look good at all? Is she feeling
roll
fine?
perception.
She's fine.
Roll perception check. Active perception, just sort of check her out.
I mean, why wouldn't I be fine? I'm fine. I mean, come on.
A 2? She looks. Well, Shim looks pretty much the same as always. I mean, not any different than usual. It seems a little nervous, maybe about taking on undead in the twilight hours, but that's kind of understandable. I mean, I would assume that most of you would have a similar reservation.
No, Head likes to kill the undead things. He's not reserved at all. He just thought Ellie might be hurt or suffering something, but obviously she is fine. She said she is fine.
Fucking nutty. But yeah, so no, you guys carry on. Can I get everyone to roll a general perception check for me, just for this second part of this day?
Hey, 4.
4. Sadiq, you're just looking at the horse's butt.
15.
Keeping the cart on the road.
Yep, pretty much. Just concentrate on what you're doing. What was yours, Anari? Sorry? 15.
12 for hit.
12 for hit. Those that are
Yeah.
inside the cart can't really see anything. I mean, you can hear what's going on. There's like windows to the side that you can sort of have a look out of. And you guys, anyone that's over a 10, see what Bash got. Yeah, Bash is pretty sure. He's keeping a pretty good eye out. Anyone over a 10 sort of notices that, there's plenty of animals in the forest. Is not a natural one. Holy crap.
Yeah, I did.
So Fianda, you're completely hungover and just worried about the queasy stomach and the headache and just solely focused on that right now.
19, by the way.
Bash and Alessandros probably the first to sort of notice that if there's an infestation of undead in this area, then the animals should be more restless. There seems to be plenty of animals around the place. There's not a decrease in animal life. There's nothing sort of, something just doesn't feel undeadish, if that's a term. As you get closer to Helonde, as the day draws on, the blues, greys and whites of the sky start to turn into those yellows and oranges of sunset, and it just doesn't seem right that it doesn't seem like you're heading into a den of undeath.
Is there any kind of strange feeling like
Can't hear you, sorry. What?
I said, is there anything that would make it feel off?
Make what feel off particular?
The atmosphere. Like if it was, you know how we had in the guild that night, it wouldn't be. Does it all feel natural? Is what I'm trying to.
Well, with your perception check, yes.
Yay! Go me!
Unfortunately, your perception check was pretty shit. So, yeah. So with your perception check, it feels kind of natural, but you seemed again more worried about possibly what's happening with Fiala. She's not looking too happy. She's looking pretty sick. Not
ready.
Not sick. You're not like green around the gills sick. She just looks like she's not having a good time. And with that, after another couple of hours of travelling, you're not travelling at a blistering pace. So another couple of hours travelling, Bash sort of leans to you, Sadiq, and says, "Oh, Mr. Sadiq, we're probably about, I don't know, maybe an hour from Helonde at this point. Maybe we should probably get off the road and maybe cut across country if we can a little bit. Try and sort of, if we get maybe say 50, 60 feet from the village, we can camp out and do a bit of a scouting mission before we go investigate fully."
Sounds like a plan.
So with that, you guys sort of in the back get sort of bumped around a little bit as Sadiq draws the horses off to the northeastern side of the road and into the trees. A little bit more bumpy now they're off a sort of a man-made road. Not too bad. It's not uncomfortable, but it's definitely a little bit more of a rough ride. Sadiq, roll an animal handling check for me, please.
Another awesome roll. 3.
Oh shit. With that, one of the horses rears and becomes very unsettled, rears up and almost breaks free of the coupling, and with that the other horse sort of becomes unsettled and they bolt. So now you guys are traveling forward, you've been jerked forward, you guys in the back have been chucked around a little bit as the wagon surges forward at speed as these horses break into a gallop. Sadiq, can I get you to roll a strength check for me, please?
Ooh, there's the first nat 20 for the day.
Natural 20. We get a nat 20 on the strength check as you pull back on the reins, as these horses bolt forward, and you grab the reins and cry out, "Whoa, whoa, horses, whoa!" And you sort of pull back with all your might, and Bash is sort of gripping on and trying not to fall off. And you manage to restrain the horses back to a reasonable pace reasonably quickly. Just them bolting took you a little bit by surprise, but you, with quick reactions and quick thinking, and just with your overall strength, you're able to rein the horses back in. You guys in the back sort of get thrown around a little bit, and then sort of as Sadiq regains control and the carriage suddenly slows to a reasonable pace again, you guys are all sort of thrown forward against the front of the carriage a little bit, sort of piling up on top of each other a little.
By the steel lady's helmet, were you falling asleep up there?
Can you get your
I
foot
think
out
he
of my
was.
face, please?
You can get the microphone out of your mouth.
Oh, sorry. Did I have my hand in your face?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you're all sort of biffed around on top of each other a little bit. But with that, Sadiq,
no one gets car sick, do they? I mean, car
Yeah, until
sick.
you lose a...
Bash sort of goes, "Whoa, Mr. Sadiq. Oh, geez, that was lucky. I think we avoided a bit of a mishap there. You guys all right back there?"
Yeah, Ellie, Fiela, and Ari, are you good?
I'm good now, I haven't got a foot in my face.
Fiela, is there... everyone's good, I think, but Fiela's just not feeling well. Is there anything I could do to help Fiela? I have a few spells on hand.
I just you're next to me, aren't you, Het? I'll just rest my head on his shoulder.
roll a Constitution's save for me, please.
Uh-oh.
That's a 6.
Oh shit.
Yeah, six is about right. You sort of lean over on and rest your head on Het's shoulder, and his cool scales kind of help a little bit, and then that wave of nausea hits very suddenly, very quickly.
I'm so sorry.
And with the mouthful of impending vomit, you mumble those words and lean forward and just vomit all inside the wagon, all over everyone's feet. And it's like projectile vomit. It's not pretty. It sort of splatters as it hits, and it sprays up in Ari's legs, and Alessandra, you get a bit on you as well, and it's sort of right on your feet. Het.
Het will never wash his feet again. That is one of the nicest things anyone has ever done for me, Fiela.
What?
I was kidding. Ellie, I've got prestidigitation ready. Are you ready? Let's clean this up.
Yep, go for it.
And we both cast prestidigitation.
And in an instant, the cart is sweet smelling and crystal clean once again, with the spells being cast from either side.
I start sarcastically mimicking Sadiq. Oh, new wagon. Let's get a wagon. That's a good idea.
Fiela, would you like a water? I have some water in my water skin here.
Thank you, Het.
He
And
hands over his water skin.
yes, Fiala, you take a big gulp of water, swilling it around in your mouth, sort of cleaning out and the insides of your mouth, and sort of lean out the back of the through the back door of the wagon as you open it, and sort of remove the foreign objects from around your teeth and such, before taking a nice drink of water. With that, by the time all that has transpired, now we're sort of heading right into right on sunset now. The skies are starting to go from those reds, yellows and oranges into purples, deep blues and purples of the nighttime sky. As night falls, Sadiq, you find a reasonable spot where you think there'll be a good spot to hold up for the night with the wagon. You pull up, you hitch the horses, and from what you can tell, and from what Bash has told you, you're probably probably 60 or so feet from the edge of the village. The village is not walled. It is an open village. It's not a huge village, but it's not small either. In fact, Mr. Bash offers you a map, and sort of pulls out this. It's a rough drawn map, and says, "Oh, right. So this is the size of the village. There's about 3 dozen small houses around the outskirts, and in the centre we've got a bit of a town square, and like town hall, blacksmith, and some trade tents and such. Who wants to come for a scout mission so we can go see what the hell's going on in here?"
Yeah, I'll go.
Het would like to as well. What is the like we're saying it's getting close to night. Is it getting pretty dark?
It is not quite dark yet. It's right on that verge, like right on dusk, right on sunset. So you guys can still see, but I'd say within the next hour it's going to be dark.
Yes, Het would like to come as well. Het has excellent vision in the night.
All right, Mr. Het. So Mr. Het, Miss Alessandras, anyone else want to come for a look-see?
I would like to, but would I be able to wild shape as an eagle to like get an overhead scout?
Yeah.
So I will do that.
The fresh air might do you good, Fiala.
I think so.
And Bash sort of looks at you as you transform, and just his eyes go real wide, and he's going, "Whoa, that's cool."
Yeah, don't punch her because she can shit on you from like 200 feet.
Wow, awesome. Can she understand me and as a bird?
I don't think anyone can understand you at any time, but we'll give it our best shot.
And Fiala, Bash turns to you and says, "All right, well, if you're a bird and you can fly, we don't need to go have a look, because you can do it before it gets dark. It'd be great. So, Miss Birdie, Fiala, person, creature, thing, way you go!" And he sort of points in the direction of the village. So, Fiala, you take off. You climb into the early evening sky, and with that, you do a full circle of the village. I'll get you to make 3 perception checks as you circle the village. So, make your first perception check, please.
Might need to switch dice because that's a 6.
You make sure you're using your eagle's stats too. I think they get advantage
Oh, they
on
do.
perception where that is relating to sight.
So that first one would have been a 12 then.
12. So as you circle around the eastern side of the village, you don't really see any movement. There's a whole bunch of smaller houses, smaller dwellings, which you, from what Bash said, was probably the bulk of the populace kind of lives in these smaller houses around the outskirts of this village. And you circle around now, further around towards the north, heading around to the opposite side of the village. Make a second perception check for me.
That is a natural 20.
Natural 20! Another natural 20, guys. And with that, you do indeed... You see some villagers, or what you assume to be villagers, walking around. You do spy what you believe is possible undead zombie-type creatures around closer to the town square. It doesn't seem to be anything looking undeadish around the outskirts of the town. It seems to be more concentrated around the town square. You can see 4 or 5 sort of bodies, sort of shambling. They don't walk like regular people, so they're kind of slowish and as you head round that side. And your third check is you now round to the southern end of the village and start heading back towards the group.
And that is an 18.
And the same thing from this angle. Don't see anything other than what looks to be possible zombies or skeletons. Nothing large like what you had been informed as a potential. There may have been like an undead ogre or something in the village. Doesn't appear to be from what you've seen. But all the undead activity seems to be centered around the central part of this village. And with that, you return to your companions.
Wild shape out and relay that I saw a lot of activity in the center of town, mostly. Nothing really very big and out of the ordinary. Just, I think the undead are mostly in the center.
Was there other people walking around? Was there any not undead people you could see?
I don't think so. But
There was a few villages. Yeah, you spied a few villages around the outskirts, but mostly there was it wasn't many, maybe half a dozen that you could see. You'd assume either the villagers are dead or hiding out in their houses. That there doesn't seem to be much activity apart from the center of the town.
And that's what I relay.
Okay. That's a good scouting mission. Ellie, what do you think?
Well, if there's not that many up front, we'll probably be able to take them out pretty easily.
I think the same, Mr. Alessandros. I think that if we can get element of surprise, we might be able to take out 2 or 3 before even the rest even know we're there.
Sadiq, I don't know about you, but I've got a funny feeling if we were to start heading for the center, it feels trappish. We head to the center, we could get jumped. The flight path of yours, Fiela, you can't see into buildings or under eaves, am I correct?
Well, I was going to suggest I was going to go do it is on the way there, go through some buildings, see what's there.
Also, we might think about questioning a villager or two if they're on the outskirts.
Yes, good idea.
I agree. I think that these villages, they don't really have a town guard here as such. They have a small militia, but they're not very well trained. If these villages, if the undead is taken over for whatever reason, if anyone's still alive, they'll be using them as slaves. So I think if we can, I agree with Alessandros here. I think we should go investigate, try and find a villager and find out what's going on.
Bash, do you know what type of peoples inhabit this town mostly? Is it a mixed race town or?
It's pretty mixed. A few humans and dwarfs and a few halflings as well. I think the halflings run most of the retail establishments, inns and stalls and such. But I think the humans are the militia. Couple of half-orcs. One of my half-orc companions sort of hangs out here from time to time, helps him out when he's in the village. But as I say, they're not very well trained. It's just a handful of militia, really.
I was just more worried about our group walking in with myself, you, Bash, and Sadiq looking the way we do. We might scare some people with.
It's a bit of a trade town. I mean, everyone comes through here. I mean, it's usually pretty busy, even at this time of night. I mean, right on dusk is you'll usually be able to hear the inn's music from here, and the fact that we can't hear no music is a bit of a worry.
Okay. Sadiq.
Could I have a look at that map again?
Sure thing. Bash sort of.
What do you think?
Bash brings up the map again and says, "All right, here you go. So at the top of the map there, we have around the outskirts of the whole town. It's kind of set out like a great big ring, all the villages, houses all around the outside, and then right in the centre you got town square. There's a big well, and there's a big blacksmith and a town hall and the inn's right there, and that's where they keep all the stalls for the trade goods, and people just travel through. And
with that magical thing going around on your screen there, which side are we?
you are down in the southern end of this map, so you're probably 60 feet from the edges of the town on the south side. Yeah, on the south side.
Well, I might do a stealth up to that lot of 3.
Up in here ish.
Hang on.
When it catches up.
Yep, there.
So you're going to stealth. Make it easy. You're going to stealth into the southern part. You want to stealth into the southern part of the town and have a look.
Yeah, see if there's any bodies in there or
do you want,
whatever.
You're going to go by yourself? You want a team going to come with you?
Probably best if I go by myself. That way I can get away really quick, not having to worry about anybody else. No offense.
Bash should have pat you on the top of the head and says, "You're not the only one that's pretty stealthy there, Shorty, but you're probably right. If you want to go have a look-see, just don't scare the villagers, would you? They're nice people."
All right, do me a stealth check, I guess.
If no one else is going to go with you, sure.
I was just gonna cast
Speak
Pass
up.
Without Trace. I was going to cast Pass Without Trace on it.
You need to be within 30 feet of him at all times for that to work.
I got a 20. Dirty 20.
So
Okay,
unless you're going with him, Pass Without a Trace won't actually work. Dirty 20. Is anyone else going with Alessandros at this point?
No.
No, Het believes that Ellie has the right idea.
So, Dirty 20, you believe you are stealthy as all shit, and you surge forward towards the village. Bash says, "Yeah, before you go, take this with you," and gives you the map as a reference.
Thanks.
And
Het also gets Killick to follow Ellie without
Okay.
Ellie knowing, hopefully.
Alice, roll stealth check for Kalek. And Alice, want to roll a perception check.
24.
Hit DM me your stealth check.
Okay, I'll DM it now.
Just to make things a little bit more interesting. The 24 was your perception?
Yeah.
Okay. Roger that. So, Alessandros, you move forward
How far away am I from those buildings?
about 60 feet. So it takes you about a couple of minutes to get there. You're going to shadow step?
What dim light, isn't it?
It is dim light, but by this hour of the evening. You shadow step forward, which puts you right on the outskirts of the village. And with that, you start looking around. You reach the first small house. The houses here, they're not like dirt huts or anything. They're small wooden houses. They're not flash. They've been reasonably well made, thatched roofs, shuttered windows. You reach the first sort of small dwelling. There's no lights coming from inside of these series of houses. Doesn't seem to be any lights from any of the houses close by.
Must be able to see in with the dark vision.
You can have a look in if you wish. You peer in one of the small windows with your stealth check. You're reasonably well hidden and reasonably quiet. You open the small wooden shutter. You sort of peer in. You are looking into what looks like a kitchen / sort of dining area, living area of the small dwelling, and everything seems to be in its place. The fireplace is out and cold. There's no one in this particular dwelling. It doesn't look like there's been any kind of struggle, but there's definitely no one there.
Right, move to the next one.
So just to move this along a little bit, you move through the series of houses around the southern end of the village, sort of scouting through. You check 8 or 10 different houses, and each one you check is the same scenario. There's been no sign of a struggle, but no sign of life either. You get to the 10th or 11th house, and you stop for a moment as you hear a noise coming from within. I'll get you to re-roll a stealth check for me as you open the window.
That would be 19.
And as you sort of open and peer through the window, you are startled to see a face looking back at you.
Oh, crap.
And you see a halfling man sort of peering out and stares right in your eyes, and he goes, "Oh, who's there? What do you want? We're doing nothing. I'm staying in like I'm supposed to. Don't hurt me." And he sort of jumps back from the window.
I'll put my finger up to my lips.
Oh. Who are you? What do you want? Please don't kill me.
Question him, ask him some questions on what's going on here and stuff like that.
Then ask him. Don't tell me what you're doing. Do it.
What's going on? Why are half the building's empty?
Have you not heard? We've been taken over. Not allowed to talk to anyone.
So where's the rest of the people?
I really shouldn't be talking to you. Go away. He sort of darts back into his house. You hear him rummaging around in the house still. He's still there, but he's just moved away from the window.
Is the window open or closed?
It's open. I mean, it's not glass. There's no glass in these windows. It's all just shuttered windows.
Shadow step in.
And with that, you terrify the shit out of this guy. He turns and goes, "Ah! What are you doing in my house? Don't kill me! Don't kill me! Don't kill me! Don't kill me!
Calm down.
Don't kill me!" Roll a persuasion check for me.
What?
Roll a persuasion check for me.
Nat 20.
And you step forward, you put your hands up in a non-aggressive manner, and just say, calm down. And he sort of looks at you, and you can see he's terrified, cowering. He's quite a short halfling. He's wearing very common clothing. He is balding on top, probably in his 50s or 60s. And he sort of starts breathing heavy and looks up and he goes, You're not here to kill me.
No.
Who are you?
I'm here to help.
What? Just you? You don't stand a chance.
There's others, but we're here. I'm here to help. Now, tell me what's going on so I can help.
Well, there's things in the village square. They've taken over. If we get caught out at night, they just kill us. It's horrible.
So is that what's happened to the rest of them? Of you?
A lot of us have been killed. Yes, the rest of us we've been told that we go about our daily business and supply them with food and drink and stuff to send to their master. But if we don't do as they told, they just kill us outright. It's horrible.
Do you know where their master is?
I haven't. They send a cart of supplies off every day.
Is there any other information you can give me?
They all hang out in the town square. I mean, they don't come out to the village outer very much, but it's still horrible. I don't dare go outside.
All good. I will be back. Don't panic. And with that, I shadow step out and head back to the others.
And you, as you sort of shadow step out and you turn to look back and you see this, the halfling face sort of peering over the window, sort of wondering where the hell you went. And then the shutters close quickly and you head back to the group.
And relay all that information back to them. Hello.
So they've been kept in lockdown. Curfew overnight.
Speak up.
So
I would have a guess more than just a night curfew. I'd say it's day-night curfew. But I have an idea whether that works or not. It may not.
What's the idea?
Well, instead of taking out that riffraff in the middle of the town, we follow the cart to where they take it.
Sounds good.
And then work our way back. Any ideas?
Well, we need to get rid of if these aren't dead here, we need to get rid of them. We can't just leave them here.
Yeah,
this village is a central hub for trade in this whole area.
Well,
If we lose this village, the whole area dies.
Bash, shush.
And he stands up to his full height in front of you. And
I'm not trying to be disrespectful. I'm just trying to say something. If we follow the cart back to where they're taking it, where they're taking all this food, kill what's there, come back, kill the rest. That's all.
Boys, you're both pretty. Now let's just sit down and make a plan.
I can tell you where the cart's going.
Where?
It goes 5 miles to the east, and then it gets transported magically somewhere. There's a mage down there that's helping him.
At the portal or further?
Well, the mage does the portaling, I'm assuming. I mean, the cart goes there and it disappears.
So you've seen this?
Yeah, when Mr. Aslan and when we killed them kobolds and kobold raiders and stuff, it was just north of here, and they was sending supplies to the same dude. We weren't contracted to kill him, otherwise we would have. But that's where if that's what they're saying, if there's a cart of supplies leaving here and going there, that's where it's going.
I'm just scared, not so much scared, just worried that if we take out what's there, something could trigger a response from up there.
Yeah, we don't. How much do you know about magic, Miss Alessandras? And mages and portals and things.
A little.
If we attack this mage, I reckon they're going to portal in all manner of beasties, and they're going to bite your face off.
All right, we'll do the count then.
I mean, we can. I mean, if we take them by surprise, we could probably beat them, but it's a bit of a risk. I mean, Mr. Het will tell you that if they manage to portal in something other than food, I mean, if it could be more kobolds, it could be more zombies, it could be an ogre of some description, could be a dragon, who knows?
That is true, but Alessandros, maybe you haven't. If they have a mage that can do that, they can do that at any time. Maybe we need to take that mage out, Alessandros. You could be right. Because if they portal in something while we're busy, we're in trouble. If they have a mage of this power, we need to, at least, even if we do it afterwards, we need to take them out anyway. Take the center of the town.
I agree, Mr. Het. We do need to take them out, for sure. But I think that we need to clear this village first and stop the supply line hear it at source. Just make sure we don't get any runners, because if that runner gets away and tells his mage what's going on, then we could have a dragon ported in on our heads, which is not very good.
All right, how's this? One thing I didn't get was which way the cart goes. Or did I?
No, but Bash did tell you that it was sent out to the east.
If it gets sent out to the east, we could always go around to the east, come back in on them.
Could.
Any takers?
I vote killing the undead here.
I think we should take care of these ones first, and then maybe track down and see what's happening with this mage. If we capture him, we might be able to get him to port us to this so-called master and kill some things.
Anari, Sadiq?
Take out the town first.
Yeah.
Okay, town it is. Let's go!
So by this time, it is now definitely dark. It would have taken, by the time you sort of talked to the halfling and did a bit of scouting around, it took you about a couple of hours before coming back and discussing with the group. It's not going to take you long to get to the outskirts of the town from where you are. You now know that the concentration of these entities are in the town centre.
Did I get a rough idea of how many is there?
No, you did not.
Okay. Just checking.
But with Fiela's circle of the village, she saw maybe half a dozen, but I mean, you don't know. So what is the plan of action?
I'm gonna pick up my staff and start walking into the center of town.
I will follow her.
I'll do some roof hopping.
I take it they're all kind of in the center. All the
Sounds that way. It sounds like they've concentrated themselves in the center of town.
Yeah, go straight to the center.
Are you doing so stealthily, or are you just going to walk into the center of town?
I'll
Just
cast
walk
pass
in.
without trace on everyone.
I'll stealth it in, thank you.
All those that are wishing to stealth and stay within 30 feet of Inari, roll stealth, add 10.
Well, that depends, because I'm planning on doing the stealth and being on roofs.
Like I said, as long as you stay within 30 feet of Inari, you can. Is it 30 or 60? One or two. You can get the plus 10.
Wow.
That's up to you.
I'm invisible.
30.
Can't hear you, Nutty, sorry.
It's within 30 feet.
Thank you.
Because I got a plus 10 for me stealth. Then I got a 14 plus Inari's spell. So, yeah, 34.
Okay, so Inari, Alessandra vanishes from sight. Gone in the shadows.
I rolled a nat 1.
So that's 11 for you. That's still, it's okay.
I rolled 32.
So everyone else?
Head stays beside Fiela and he rolls a 27.
Okay. Sadiq, are you rolling stealth?
No.
No, so you just get a plus 10 anyway, so you're going to be 10 regardless. So overall group, you're all pretty quiet. I mean, if we take the group average, you're in the 20s, so we're not too bad. So you guys start walking towards the village. You get to the outskirts. Alessandra shows you the few houses that she has scouted already and sort of points in the direction of the town square. Bash's stealth check was 29, by the way. So as you sort of approach the town square, you do hear a few voices from in front of you. Alessandra, you wanted to go to the roofs, yeah?
Yeah.
Make a dexterity check for me to see if you can get onto a roof easily enough.
I can. Shadow step.
You didn't tell me that, though.
I'm sorry. I'm using shadow step to get up there.
Okay. You still need to make a dexterity check to see if you can stay up there without falling on your ass.
Nat 20.
Natural 20. Okay, it's going to come to the fight, and you're going to roll like shit, eh?
Exactly.
Lose all those 20s now.
Right, so as you approach the centre of the city, Sadiq, the very first thing you notice is your amulet is not doing anything. Which is very unusual because it has been pretty much paramount from the time that you've found out about Helonde that this place has been overrun by undead. Or in charge.
I just say that I grabbed the amulet, and I tap it a couple of times, and I go, "Is this thing broken?"
And you do start to hear voices now in the distance. Human voices, not the voices of zombies as you would probably expect, or the clattering of skeletal warriors as you would probably expect from somewhere that has undead or some form of undead presence. But you do hear voices, but a little bit of laughter, the deep sort of and just mumbled chatter.
As you get tapping his amulet and asks what's wrong with it, hit instacasts detect magic and says, "I'll check that for you."
And it lights up a bright, brilliant arcane blue.
Sadiq, your amulet is fine. Anything else around that Hit can see?
Apart from the usual stuff, no.
Okie dokie.
I've got a feeling, people, that these guys aren't undead.
Mercenary types then?
Acting like they're undead.
You think it's a trap?
Could
It's
it be a spell?
golf.
So do you carry on towards the centre of town?
I'm going to hold up for a second and kind of go, okay, wait a minute. If they're undead, it should be, we should know, because we're within 50 feet of the town, right?
Yes. Yep. If they were of undead or fiendish nature, your amulet should be lit up like a Christmas tree.
Yeah, I don't know, guys. There's something about this that just feels wrong. Because one, Alessandra's got told that they've been told to not talk to anyone, blah, blah, blah. Two, my amulet isn't lit up and we're within range of those, undead. So I don't think they're actually what they appear to be.
Alessandros, from your vantage point on the rooftops as you approach, you do see a bit of movement and as you approach the town square. And the two or three sort of shuffling bodies you sort of see around the town square area, they look undead. I mean, they have that movement. Their hair is sort of messed and disheveled. Their skin looks kind of pale and grey. You can't really tell from this distance if they're rotting or not, but they certainly take on that appearance.
So, I'm about 50 feet
Uh,
away?
yeah, 50, 60 feet from the centre, from the well in the centre of the square. I'd say probably a good 60 feet.
Well, no
Plant-
matter
yeah.
what, they need to die.
Any houses close to the well?
No, well, there's you got two big buildings next to the. I'll bring up a reference map for you here, just 1 second, to give you an idea of what you see. So essentially, Alessandros, this is from your position, which would be at the south end of this map, so the bottom end of this map. You're back probably 2 or 3 houses. What you see is the large well in the center. The building at the top left of the map is what would be like a large inn / town hall, you would imagine. There's a few like tented stalls at between you and the well. And then the large building at the top right, the large angled building, looks like stables / blacksmith.
So I'll be able to get up on that roof then, yeah?
Potentially. No, actually, no, you wouldn't. Not from where you are. How long's your...
30.
No. You're probably 60 feet from the well, and the well's another 20 or so feet from that building.
So I'm on the opposite side then?
Yes, you're on the southern edge of that map, the bottom of the map.
Alright guys, what do you want to do?
You would be far away from us, I suppose. Are you yelling to us?
She's
No.
not that far away. She's probably within 30 feet of you guys on a rooftop, just above, not too far away from you.
So we can see the flat level version of this, basically.
From where you guys are, you'd be able to see sort of partially the back of the tents, the trade tents. You'd possibly be able to see. You'd probably just see the well from where you are.
It has 120 foot of awesome vision. I guess I can see all of that.
You'd probably see right through to just through the gaps of the houses, the few staggered houses that you guys are in between at the moment. So you'd probably get, from where you are, you'd probably get a glimpse of the well, a part of the well and the building behind it, definitely. You probably wouldn't see the town hall or inn from where you are, just from the shielding of the buildings.
Okay, cool.
Probably check out, try and see what's in these buildings near us before we go in, just in case there is a surprise waiting for us.
Do you want to enter one of the buildings that either you're on or close to?
Yeah.
I look around at the guys, and so if Sadiq, your amulet's not picking up anything, is there any way we could tell whether this has been magically cast?
It has detect magic up at the moment.
And Het is not detecting anything apart from the magical items on your guys' persons.
How close are we to the nearest undead-looking people?
Probably 60 or so feet, if maybe a little bit further. There's a few of them sort of wander. You can now, as you're watching from where you guys are, one will pass your vision as it sort of passes through the gaps in the houses, and probably passes within 70 so feet of your current position.
They're too far for Het to detect any magic on them at this point. Het would have to get within, say, 30 feet to probably get close enough to tell.
Het, do you have Het or Fiala actually, do you have an area effect spell that could really hurt them to find out whether or not we're dealing with humanoids or undead?
Het is unsure. Dropping something like dire napalm onto them without knowing what is exactly going on could be detrimental to our health.
I'm not talking about that. No, I'm talking like call down lightning or fireball or something that would hit a bunch of them just to see if they scream out in pain. If they scream out in pain, that kind of tells us that yes, they are acting like they're undead and not true undead.
Oh, I see. Yes.
Alessandros, roll
well, I mean,
a perception check for me, just quickly.
Het can turn an undead. We can try that. We'll fire some magic missiles into a few of them, but they would know that they were under attack then. What about you, Fiala?
I don't have anything that can hurt what they are. I wouldn't want to risk the spell, really.
And your perception check, Alessandros? Trashy.
DM, you're cutting in and out of my end.
Trashy.
I don't know if it's just me.
Perception check, please.
Is that for all of us?
Just for you. You're the only one that's elevated and can see.
$21.
You notice, while the guys are discussing a plan of action, you notice that from the larger building, which you would assume would be like a town hall or a large inn, you notice a figure step out of the door. Definitely not undead. He is a dragonborn, and he shouts out at one of these shuffling creatures, sort of milling around the town square, and you hear him. You don't know what he says because it's in Draconic. It's probably a little muffled for you to understand what he says, but he shouts some form of order to this creature, and you sort of see them move a little bit more undeadish like than what they were previously. But this guy's definitely not undead.
I relay what I just saw to the group.
Dragonborn, eh? I don't know what that could mean. I thought we were all good guys.
What's your AC, Alessandros?
14.
Okay. Alessandros, it's at this point you feel the pang of pain in your left thigh as an arrow fires from an unseen bow somewhere in the town square and strikes you just above the knee, and you take 6 points of piercing damage.
Awesome.
And you're taking an arrow to the knee.
Just above the knee. But with that, I need everyone to roll initiative, please. I'll roll for Bash.
2.
15.
Give me a second. I'll get to everyone in just a moment. So Alessandros.
24.
Holy crap. Hit.
11.
Fiela. Bless you.
2.
And again.
Sorry.
Anari.
15.
And Sadiq.
10.
So Alessandros, you, even though you took the arrow from the unseen attacker, you get the top of the initiative order. So we're just gonna switch over to a quick battle map here. Give me 1 second.
Bless you.
The live map is up as well.
I'm allergic to my dice.
So guys, what you currently see, you don't actually currently see anything apart from the Dragonborn on the steps there. The others you can't actually see, they're in buildings. Trashy, you're all off the map at this point, but you are at this end of the map. You're within about 60 feet from this edge of the well. So you've got a bit of movement to get to where you need to go. Trash, you're probably the closest. Being on a rooftop, you can actually sort of see the dude up at the top left of the map there. You assume just from where the arrow struck you that it's come from the blacksmith building. You cannot currently actually see anybody apart from those two bodies there. Actually, which seem to be sort of shuffling in and around the town square. So it is
more undead than before.
There's walking around. They look. It's kind of hard to tell with the light in that area. There's a few braziers sort of lit around the place, but it's sort of the flickering light kind of makes it hard to get a decent sort of look at what they look like. But they definitely look undead. They're moving like they're undead, but sort of more sluggish and undead like than they did before. So you're pretty intelligent. I mean, I think everyone's intelligent enough to realize that this is probably not what it seems. And especially you, Alessandros, now that you've taken an arrow, I mean, what undead fire arrows, generally?
Yeah, true. Well, I guess attack at the ones I can see with bow.
So, with that, just give me 1 second. Well, an undead skeletal archer, potentially, but you don't know. So which one are you going to shoot at this point?
The one closest to the stables.
So,
Near the
okay,
well.
This one up here?
Yeah.
Okay, fire away. That does hit. You draw and knock your arrow and fire. Roll your damage.
That's 8.
With 8 points of damage, you shoot and fire at the assumed undead creature, and you hit it just below the ribcage at his back to you, and as you strike, as the arrow strikes, you hear him go "Ugh!" in a very human voice from your distance. And he sort of turns very quickly, grabs the arrow, breaks it, and turns and pulls out a large scimitar, preparing to attack. He then sort of turns and says, "We're under attack!" to his other compatriots, who all turn and sort of look in your direction.
Awesome.
Is that all you're going to do?
Is there any chimneys around near me or something like that?
Negative. Well, there's small chimneys, nothing like you would assume brick chimneys. Nothing to hide. Nothing you can hide behind.
I just want some cover. That's all.
These are very simple houses.
The fact that I just got an arrow to the leg.
Yeah, I mean they're very simple houses. So.
All right. Stay where I am.
So with that, the Dragonborn walks forward and sort of looks up at you, Alessandros, and says, says out in common this time, loud enough for everyone to hear, "We have company! Prepare to fight!" And what will he do? He is going to do nothing. He's just going to stand where he is. With that, Anari, it is your turn. You are approximately, let's say, 60 feet from the edge of the town square, from where you are. You don't have direct line of sight to anyone in the square at this point, so you're going to have to move towards the square to find a position of battle.
Right, from which direction am I coming?
From the south.
Okay, so can I move up into line of sight? Will I be able to see the dragon?
It'll take your movement and an action to do so, because you'll need to dash.
40 foot.
Yeah, it'll still take your movement and your action to get into line of sight from where you are, because you'll need to dash.
Okay.
Unless you want to go to a rooftop.
Yeah, try going to a rooftop.
Dexterity check to see if you can scale a rooftop.
Natural one. So that's a 9.
It's a 9. So you try to get up on the roof, and you sort of get to a point where you grab the thatching.
Sorry.
And you grab a handful of thatching. The thatching pulls loose in your hand, and you actually drop to the ground. So that you lose now half your movement in that. So you now have 20 feet of movement plus dash, which will give you another 40 feet if you wanted. So you still got full 60, which would probably get you to the edge of town. You've had a glimpse of the map. It probably wouldn't give you a line of sight of the leader, but it would put you in line of sight of the 3, well, at least one or two of the 3 around the well.
Yeah, I'll go for that then.
We will put you here. You are roughly just out of map, about here.
Yep.
And you'll have line of sight on this one and this one.
Which one did Ellie hit?
The one over the far side. You probably got line of sight on him as well. Over here.
Okay, so I am going to attempt to hit with sharpshooter.
Which one?
The one that Ellie went for.
Okay, cool. So sharpshooter, -5 to hit.
And have I still got bonus action?
You've used your... No, actually you can't even fire because you've used your action. You have a bonus action, that's it. You've used your action, your movement and your movement and your action to get within range.
Yep,
sorry, that was my bad. Yeah. So with that,
I will hold.
You will hold. It is now Bash's turn. Bash sort of hearing the voice. I don't think these guys are undead. I'm going to try and flank around. So he moves through the houses. He knows the village well. So he's going to move through the houses, and he's going to appear just on the map. Oh, just up in the corner there. And he is going to hold... I don't think he can do anything. Oh, he's got a crossbow. He's going to fire his crossbow at the same one that Alessandros attacked also. And he will hit with a 14 damage. Does 12 points of piercing damage. And that is pretty much him. Next up is Hit. Sadiq, you're on after that. So again, you're approximately 60 feet from the edge of the town square.
Who is close to Hit at this point in time?
You have Fiela, Sadiq, and that is about it. Bash has moved off. Alessandros is on the rooftop within 30 feet of you, and Anari has moved probably 60 feet away. So Sadiq and Fiala are closest.
Okay, so Hit raises his loot up with the symbol of the lady to the sky, and he says, "Still, lady, aid my companions." And he casts Bless on everyone within 30 feet of him, including himself. So there will be Sadiq, Fiala, Alessandros, and Hit, all with Bless.
Roger that. That is done.
Then Hit will move 30 feet forward.
Noted. So Hit is now 30 feet closer to the fray. From your position now, you probably get line of sight on through a couple of buildings that are in front. You can get a glimpse of the zombie-like creature at the base of the well there.
Okay, excellent. That is all for Hit for this turn.
And Sadiq, you're up.
I'm just going to move 30 feet forward because, yeah.
Yep, no problem. And same thing, you move into position, you can probably get line of sight on that first zombie-like creature through the gaps in the buildings. With that, it is now the creature's turn. So, firstly, Alessandros, you're probably the first to notice, with the cry from the Dragonborn, now more entities enter into the square. So you now, from your position, can see 7 or 8 of these creatures all moving into position around the square, looking around, trying to figure out where the enemy is. A couple of them have spied you on the rooftop. 1 or 2 have spied Bash as he's coming in from the right hand side there, and 1 has noticed you and Ari. So first is going to fire a bow and misses Alessandros on the roof. 2 are going to fire at Bash. 1 hits, and Bash takes 5 points of piercing damage, which upsets him greatly. And 2 are going to fire at you and Ari. 1 with a natural 20, 1 with a 16.
1 hit, 1 miss.
16 misses.
Does indeed.
Nice. So natural 20 hits, which you will take from a longbow 16 points of piercing damage.
Ouch.
Yeah. Fiala, you're up.
All right, I want to move kind of 10 feet away from the brown guy.
10 feet away from the brown guy.
I want to move into the position. I'm going to use...
You're 60 feet away from the edge of town, the edge of the town square.
Right.
So
I'm
you're...
going to move my full distance of 45 feet.
So you got 90 feet. If you want to dash, it'll give you 90 feet.
I'll do that.
Which will put you about... Move this camera just slightly. Ugh. So it puts you right at the bottom of the map there.
All right. I would like to use Call Lightning 3rd level, which
Yep.
is a 60-foot cone.
Is it an action or a bonus action?
It's an action.
You used your action
Do that?
you use your action to dash, unfortunately, to get that full 90 feet.
I'm going to save that for later and use.
All you'll have at the moment is a bonus action.
I'll stay. I'll hold.
Okay. So we're now back at the top of the initiative order with Alessandros.
And firing another arrow. Same target.
Same target. Roger that.
$21.
That definitely hits. Roll your damage with your bow. 6 damage. 6 points of piercing damage as the arrow finds its target once again, and he sort of staggers forward with another shot, and as he turns to his friends, he says, "Fucking kill that bitch!" Oh, excuse me. And
They're drunk.
are you going to move?
No.
No. So that's your turn. And with that, the bandit leader turns around and sort of looks at you and says, "Right." And he fires a dagger at you, which will hit you with a 16, potentially?
Yeah.
Does? Okay. You will take 7 points of piercing damage as a dagger strikes you just above the waistline on your left-hand side.
Ouch.
And then he moves. No, he doesn't. He stays where he is. And he just laughs as he knows he found his target. With that, Nari, it is your turn.
Right, where is the Dragonborn?
He is on the steps at the top left of the map.
Move into line of sight using my 30 feet.
You certainly can. Want to? I can put you. Let's bring this down a little bit there. So we can bring you either here, right at the bottom of the map here, or you could move to over here.
I'll go to over there.
Or probably you could probably go to this corner here if you wanted to.
Yeah, that's probably better. And then I will bonus action Hail of Thorns.
Bonus action Hail of
And
Thorns.
I'm going to fire both of my arrows at him with sharpshooter.
No problem. So minus 5 to hit.
23 to hit. That's the first one.
First one does hit. Roll your second.
24 to hit.
They both hit. So plus 10 to both of these arrows. And Hail of Thorns on the first one.
Okay, my first one with Hail of Thorns is 16 damage with the bow, and then 6 Hail of Thorns damage.
So that's all piercing damage, yeah?
Yep.
So 16 total?
16 for the arrow on its own, and then 6.
So 24.
You've got a dex save for this.
That's right, dex save for the Hail of Thorns, which he passes. No, 14. Does that pass?
Yes.
Okay.
So that's half damage, that's 3. And then with my second arrow, that is 19 damage.
19 with the second.
Yep.
And both arrows find their mark, but he sort of goes, and he sort of looks up in your direction and just reaches up and breaks both arrows off and just throws them on the ground, and doesn't look like it phased him at all.
Wow, okay.
So that's your movement, action, and bonus action. Bash's turn. Before we have Bash's turn, we're going to take a break. It's 9 o'clock.
Okay. Hey, break.
So we will be right back, ladies and germs. We're going to take a short break, and when we come back, we'll answer some questions. So, Gregorius, I will answer your question when we get back. Let's take 5. Oh, crap. My camera's really big. I made an adjustment to my camera. Sorry, guys. And it's altered stuff. Holy Jesus. Right, there we go. Sorry about that. But I'm back. We are back. So, Gregorius, what was your question there? Okay, any software you use or just stream for the battle map, which looks amazing? Well, as far as software, we don't really use any software. It's all theory of the mind, and we just do the battle map with the minis, but we use D&D Beyond for all source material and... cup of tea, please. For source material and character sheets. So we're using the D&D Beyond extension, so you should be able to see on your Twitch video. If you hover over links left or right, I can't remember which one side I put it on actually. But the extension's there for you guys to check out the character sheets for the current characters. On the left, sweet. I did move it at once. It was on the right. But yeah, so as far as software, I don't really use any software for music and things like that. It's all done, it's all files on my computer for sound effects and music and such. I was using Sirenscape for a bit, but I can't get Sirenscape to run through a virtual cable, which is what I want, and play it through the Discord. So until Sirenscape sorts that out, I've got my own audio files. Which I found some non-copyrighted stuff so they don't mute my content on Twitch, obviously, firstly and foremost. And so we can upload it to YouTube without getting copyright striked as well. So you've probably seen in the chat the spams for the Discord and things like that. There's if you want to come out and hang out in the Discord, we hang out in the Discord all the time. So when we're not playing D&D, we're playing World of Warcraft and other bits and pieces. So we do hang out in the Discord quite a bit. Obviously the YouTube !YT will give you the YouTube link where all the VODs are available from the previous shows. And a big announcement for this week, this coming week, on Thursday morning, 11 AM at New Zealand Standard Time. We'll be starting the Curse of Strahd campaign. So that is for mainly aimed at the American market. So it'll be Wednesday night for you guys in America, and starting anywhere from 4 PM through to 7 PM, depending on your time zone. I'll be DMing the campaign, all new players, including me as DM. We intend to start with the general starter campaign from D&D. Oh, nice. Yeah, we use Discord as well. All the players are on Discord. So, yeah. So we use all the character sheets from D&D Beyond. All my source material is from D&D Beyond, so this is all homebrew. A lot of this campaign's all homebrew, so we're allowing a lot of homebrew content. So there's been stuff that I've created, stuff the players have created, stuff that we've used from other people that have created on the website, plus the source material that is available as well. Obviously, Monster Manual, the DM's Guide, Player's Handbook. I own most of the source materials, like Volo's Guide and Ravnica's Guide to everything. All those source books I have on my account, so we're using a lot of information from that. Would you recommend one of the subscription modules, D&D Beyond? As a DM, definitely a sub I would recommend for sure. I'm subbed to D&D Beyond, and I find the information and everything and the things that I can do with it absolutely invaluable. Questions are good, man. This is what this time's for. We always take a break around this time and do sort of 5-10 minutes of Q&A, just because we haven't been able to do it throughout the show with RP and stuff. So we definitely take that time to answer a few questions. but all the players are from New Zealand and Australia for this particular campaign.
From America?
Technically from America. She lives in Australia. She's Australian, okay?
American.
Australian.
Canadian. What can we say?
But yeah,
felt
so
that slap. Sorry, Auntie.
but we have most of our players are experienced. We have one player that's not as experienced as the rest of us in D&D, so a relatively new player to the game. The DM description doesn't seem that bad a price, $50 for you. Exactly. It's worth it too for what you get. So essentially, with what D&D Beyond is coming up with as well, the encounter feature on it now is really good. They're coming up with a new dice rolling feature sometime soon. Not everyone likes dice rollers, but to be able to do it on screen on your character sheet is kind of cool. It'll be like a virtual dice that rolls across your screen, which is kind of interesting. You have a pre-written campaign. Would you guys recommend for a new group? Are they doing Phandalin? Okay. Any pre-written campaign is good for a new group. Especially if you're a new DM as well. It gives you a source to draw from. Like I said, this is all homebrew. My Het or Orgasm in the chat runs a homebrew campaign as well that I play in, and we've been playing for years. So, but what I've found for brand new DMs to run from a source book can give you some really good ideas to run a homebrew campaign in the future. Yeah. Curse of Strahd's another good one. It's a little bit more involved, but Phandalin's pretty good.
It looks like D&D Beyond's releasing little adventures as well for free.
Yeah.
Because of the quarantine.
Yeah, they've released a whole lot of quarantine adventures, which is pretty cool. Lost Chapters, welcome you guys. Make sure you guys go check out Lost Chapters too. Can we get one of the mods to shout out Lost Chapters? We will most likely be raiding these guys after the show, so definitely go check them out. They're running a Curse of Strahd campaign at the moment, and there is talk about a collaboration with their other campaign. So keep an eye on the Twitter and on the Discord, guys, for potential crossovers here in the future.
Yeah, they've got to level up, or we've got to level down.
It won't be the crossover with the Curse of Strahd. It'll be with another campaign.
Ooh.
From what I believe, they've got another campaign running as well. But yeah, definitely keep an eye out. If it doesn't happen with these two particular campaigns, then we may look at potential crossover somewhere in the future with them. Definitely. I mean, I'm going to be regular in their channel. I love watching their content. I think out of the characters from the Curse of Strahd campaign they're currently running, Adok is my favorite. Awesome character. Yeah, main campaign the higher levels, and it's in in-person campaign. So, okay, so you're gonna. So it's your. I see what you mean. So they've got actual tabletop campaign. Awesome. One last question for the moment. When introducing new players to the game, do you feel it is better to give them pre-rolled characters and let them make the backstory, or is it easy to let them make all the characters from zero? Let them create the characters from scratch, man. And just go through it with them. Do what is commonly coined as a session zero, and you pretty much all sit down and go over your character creation together, and you sort of do it all together as a group, especially for first time players. But I would point them personally towards the easier classes to play, aka barbarians, rangers, sorcerers, wizards, the less complicated classes. Yeah, just like a pre-session, exactly. which is what Thursday will be session 0 for the Curse of Strahd campaign. So that'll be introducing the players, rolling HP, and just going over campaign rules and homebrew rules for that particular session and stuff like that. So we'll definitely be doing that.
When you're building the party, you always want to make sure, especially if they're first beginning out party, that they got the Holy Trilogy in there. You know, healer, DPS, and tank.
Kind of, yeah. You kind of want to just let them know, hey, look, well, this is roughly what you're getting yourself into. Try and flesh out your party as much as possible. If you don't get a healing class in your party, make sure that as a DM, you make sure that healing potions are readily available within the campaign, or you come up with something that just that helps them sort of work without that particular class. So it becomes a big collaboration between player and DM, which is what I'm going to have to do with the Curse of Strahd campaign, because we have no healer. They have a warlock, and that's it. Right. So you guys will find out on Thursday. I think it's a warlock, a fighter, a barbarian, and a ranger. So there's no healing class in this particular campaign. So I'm going to have to make sure they have healing things available to them. What time is it? What time was it? 11 a.m. New Zealand Standard Time on Thursday morning. But we're looking, it's more aimed at the American market. So it's Wednesday night, the 29th for the American market, which I think it's 4 or 5 p.m. Eastern it starts. But it's 11 a.m. Thursday morning for New Zealand. So for those in Australia, it'll be 9 o'clock. For the bulk of Australia, it'll be 9 o'clock. Right, guys.
Sure, they'll be resting more.
Yes, they will be resting a lot. It's going to be an interesting campaign without a healer for sure. Each session will go for 3 hours. So it'll be 11 till 2 my time. You wake up around 10. No worries, dude. Yeah, each session runs for about 2 to 3 hours, and all sessions will be available on my YouTube. So even if you do miss part of a show, or you miss an entire show, go make sure you go and sub to the YouTube. All the VODs go up there. We upload every Tuesday for this. Like this show tonight will be uploaded on Tuesday, and then Thursday's campaigns will be uploaded on Saturday. But we should really get back into it. We've had a bit of a break. Undead or not undead? This is the question. So back to the battle map here, ladies and germs. Battle sounds, bit of music, and it was Bash Nag's, Bash the Half-Orc's turn, I believe. So Bash is sitting on the edge there, looking around, going, okay, what the hell? He bonus action rages and charges forward. Into melee combat with this particular bandit. And he will lash out 2 attacks with his vicious battle axe with a dirty 19 and a dirty 21, striking out twice. So he will do, find my dice here, 2, 4, so that's 10, 14, 18 points of slashing damage to this bandit slash undead thing in front of him, and hacks through the chest and breaks a few ribs as he does so with this battle axe. And he sort of turns to you, Fiala, being the closest, and says, "These guys ain't undead." As he notices the man's face grimace as he strikes out. With that will be his turn. Hit, you are up. Sadiq, you're on board.
How far is Hit from Inari?
Probably 30 feet.
Excellent. Hit will move. No, he won't. Hit will pull forth his lute, and he'll, realizing that he hasn't got any buff on Inari, he will start a song for her as he sings, "One shot at glory in the crossfire overhead," and he gives her bardic inspiration, which is a D6 she can use for attack or saving throws in the next 10 minutes.
So you have a bardic inspiration.
That was his bonus action. As his action, he is going to fire Old Vic's blast at the nearest not zombie.
So that'll be the one at the bottom of the map there, closest to Fiala. So fire your Rattlehead's Vic's blast at the not zombie.
Hit traces a symbol in the air and says, "Euthanasia," and he gets a nat 20, which is 28.
That definitely hits.
And a 19.
They both hit. Roll your damage for a Vic's blast. What color is Vic's blast, by the way?
It is white like ice, but it only does force damage.
Natural 20s, chat.
So 14 for the critical, and 3 for the not critical.
Right, so as the two white missiles snake forward and strike this creature right in its chest, taking sort of half a step back as the force damage knocks his breath away, and sort of and looks up at Fiala, wondering if it was Fiala that had struck him, and then realizing it came from a completely different direction. It takes the damage, and with that are you going to move, hit, or is that it?
Yes, hit will move up. Can you get just behind Fiala?
Most certainly can. Move the
And
camera
that is it for hit, thank you.
down just a touch so you can see you guys there. Sadiq, you are up.
How far away am I from something to kill?
You're within 30 feet of the closest combatant.
I'll move within that 30 feet, which is my full walk, and
That'll put you right
Swing.
into melee combat. Swing away, sir, swing away.
16 to hit.
That does hit.
Uh, 16 damage on that one.
16 damage. You strike forth with your sword,
And
hacking
another
in.
16 to hit.
That hits.
That one is a 10 to damage.
10 hit. This guy takes two massive blows from Heavenly Executioner, and he's rocked backwards, drops to one knee, drops his weapon as he takes a massive shot to the shoulder, and is not looking healthy at all. With that, you have bonus action.
Nah, I'm
No.
not going to do anything.
Okay, with
Oh,
that
actually-
it is. Yes?
Nah.
You
Nah,
know?
not really.
Now it is the creature's turn. The one go through. We're going to move some bandits around here. Right, so the bandits are all sort of consolidating on your position. Two are going to shoot at you, Elishonis, with bows. At your elevated position. One is a natural 20, the other is a 19 to hit. So there's another natural 20, chat. So you will take 16, 22 points of piercing damage as 2 arrows find their target as you are quite exposed on the rooftop even in this dim light. We then have one on Bash, who hits Bash with a 19. So Bash will take 6 points, reduced to 3 because he's raging of slashing damage. And then we have one will attack Sadiq with a 16 to hit.
Yes.
Miss, so he misses. The other won't attack you because he's not able to wield a weapon right now. Anari, you'll take a shot which will be 15 to hit. Does that hit?
Not even close.
Right, so that misses. And that is it. Oh no. No, that's it. Oh no, one more longbow shot, which will be at Bash. And that'll miss. So with that, they all sort of move in to get a better position on the group, taking their attacks. The only one being hit was Alessandro, the rest all missed their attacks on the rest of the party. Fiela, you're up.
I'm going to cast Forked Lightning 2nd level on the... It's a bolt each on the 2 in front of me.
Roger that. Any save on those? Or is it just a hit?
No, it's just a hit.
Okay, cool.
And that's a 19.
That hits.
And that's 17 each.
17 each on those 2. So that one is reduced to 0 hit points and falls dead. This one, was it 17 you said?
Yeah.
The bandit standing in front of you, you see him walk forward. He's covered in goop and looks like entrails and stuff, and his hair's all messy, but he's wearing a chainmail chest plate. And as you strike him with the lightning, it just conducts the energy through his ribcage and through his body. And now he's standing there smouldering and bleeding from his ears, and from one of his eyes almost seems completely clouded over. And he's not looking healthy as the lightning sort of surges through him and zaps off him into his mate and kills his friend outright. Bonus action.
Can I step over the prone, dead, unknown creature and kind of move diagonally about 10 feet?
If you move out of melee range of the character in front of you, he will get an opportunity of attack, but you can.
Yeah, I'll take it.
He will strike out as you move past him. Looks like he will miss with a 11.
That misses.
He strikes out, and because the energy is still surging through his muscles and is still contracting, and he just can't quite get enough of a grip to strike out. Bonus action.
I'm just gonna stay where I am.
No worries. Next up, we're back to the top of the initiative order with Alessandros. Perched on your rooftop with your bow in hand, you now see these creatures. You heard Bash yell out that they're not undead, they are human, and you can see them all converging on your friends.
So with that, what's within 30 feet of me?
From your distance, probably the one that's by Hit and Fiala and Sadiq. That's probably the closest target to you at 30 feet, which is this one here.
All right, shadow step to him.
I would allow you to shadow step right in behind him, not a problem.
Switch to my rapiers.
Not a problem. Rapiers are switched to as part of your movement.
With that, saying the magic word, That's just a free action, is it?
Yep.
Say the magic word to my sword, and it ignites.
And with that, Sadiq, you see Alessandro's rapier, main hand rapier, ignite in flames. Roll your hit, sir. Madam Shim.
Mine's bigger.
Dirty 19.
Dirty 19, that does indeed hit. Roll your damage, which I believe is 1d8 plus 2 and an extra 2d6 fire damage.
So the blade itself is 9.
9 points of slashing damage.
Plus 11.
11 fire damage, and that with that you strike out.
Oh, come on, really?
With that you strike out. You would have got sneak attack as well, but probably not much point. That creature is dead. You lunge forward with your rapier. You can roll it if you want.
Hang on.
Roll it. I mean, you would have rolled it anyway. 10. So total damage, about almost 30 points of damage. So yeah, you strike out with the rapier, plunging it into the spine of this entity, and Sadiq, you watch as this flaming rapier pierces the ribs, through the ribs and out the front of this guy, as his face sort of contorts in pain and then just goes slack, and his eyes roll back in his head as he drops forward, face dead. Bonus action, and you still have half your movement.
That's the Inari, isn't it? I'll try and get over to there.
Won't quite get within melee range, but you are definitely in the right ballpark. You do have a bonus action left. Can't really do much from there.
Can I go stealth?
You can bonus action stealth if you want. You got really nothing to hide behind, and you're lit up like a Christmas tree.
Yeah, never mind.
With that, the Dragonborn now decides it's time to enter this battle. What do we got here? Makes a beeline for you, Alessandros, and he fires another dagger at you as you are running towards one of his compatriots, and he misses with a 2.
God.
You feel this dagger whiz past your ear. This just goes. You just hear that noise, and you hear it sort of clatter against the stonework beside you. With that. That is his turn. Next up, Inari. It is your turn.
I am still going to fire at that.
One in front of you?
No.
You got no. Well, you really got no choice. You're in melee combat now.
If I move, I'm going to take.
If you move, you'll take opportunity attack. Yes. But it's up to you. I mean, you could attempt to fire at someone else. But I would say it would be at disadvantage considering you're in melee face to face with someone else.
He's too close for me to fire at him.
You can, but again, it'd be a disadvantage.
Exactly. So, I will whip out my...
You're going to whip out your what?
I'm going to whip out my scimitar.
I will allow... generally, yeah, if you want to change weapons, guys, just bear in mind we will use it as part of your movement.
And I'm going to attack him with my scimitar.
Okay, so attack away with your scimitar.
10 to hit the first time.
10 to hit. That does miss, unfortunately.
Don't forget your bardic inspiration.
But you have bardic inspiration, which is what, D6?
Yep. So add 5 to that, so 15 to hit.
15 to hit. That does hit. It's just a regular dude.
But you have used it up now. You don't have it anymore.
Thank you. I needed that.
Yep.
And he gets hit with 6.
Bardic Inspiration
Slashing damage.
fades, and he takes 6 points of slashing damage as you strike out with your scimitar in reaction to him coming in too close. And you hit him across the sort of shoulder, and it catches his armor. It doesn't do a lot of damage, but it certainly lets him know that you're there and you can actually fight with a sword as well.
Do I get?
You get two attacks, yes. Because you are now fighting with a melee weapon, so you get 2 attacks on your attack action.
15 to hit with a second.
That hits as well.
And 9.
9 points. And again, you slash out. And you find your target twice. Anything else?
No, that'll do.
Now, Hit, you're up after Bash. Bash's turn. Raging Bash strikes out 2 attacks against the bandit in front of him, which was that one. Rolls. Mr. Bash rolls a 24 and a 18 with his vicious battle axe. He gets 12, 5, it's 17 plus 4, 21 points of damage as he strikes out viciously with this weapon. And this bandit almost severs an arm as he strikes out. And just, you hear him sort of go, "Uah!" and just down with both blows. Almost one-handed with this axe. His big green forearms just rippling brutish strength. And that's where he's going to stay. Hit, you are up. Sadiq, you're on board.
Hit is going to move just around the edge of the tent so he can see Alessandros again.
Done.
What is the Dragonborn wearing?
He is wearing, by the looks of it, full plate armor. From what you can tell from where your chainmail, sorry. Full set of chainmail armor.
It could not believe his eyes that another Dragonborn is attacking. He thought all Dragonborn were good. And he pulls forth his lute. And he says, and he sings, "Hey you, Dragonborn, you feel as though you're out in the cold." And he casts Hit's Snow Globe. This is a cast shot, so I'm just rolling for it. That will be 26 to hit.
That definitely hits.
Just so you know, it's at 3rd as well.
Yep.
That will be, holy crap, a lot of dice. Hit is just doing math. That is 22 points of cold damage.
22 points of cold damage. As you fire forth, the ice starts to form around the neck and shoulders of this Dragonborn as he's charging forward towards Alessandros. And he sort of almost turns and stops and spins on his heels as he takes his damage and looks directly at you and just grins. His red skin sort of rippling and his razor-sharp teeth.
Hit is under the assumption, since he knows he's a Redskin Dragonborn, that did a little more damage than he'd hoped.
Yeah, quite possibly. The ice definitely has stayed formed around the top of his shoulders. You can definitely see that he's not happy.
With his free action, Hit says, this is not the right course for our kind. And that is his turn.
Is that your turn? Sadiq, you're up.
Taking a swing at the one that's closest to me.
You'll have to move. Both of those are now dead. The next closest to you will be over by Bash, or the one on the opposite side of Bash, or the bandit leader. You got the guys at the fountain as well. You got a few to choose from.
Where's the Dragonborn?
He is out towards Alessandros there. Up over here.
And closing in fast.
He's 10 feet away from Alessandros and closing.
Is he within 30 feet of me?
Yeah, you get there.
I'm going to go intercept him.
Charge forth, intercepting the Dragonborn in his travels, who was stopped in his tracks by Het's icy spell, and is now face to face with a half orc. And he sort of looks at you and says, "You're going to die this day."
As my bonus action, I'm going to change my writ to lightning.
Okie dokie.
And take a swing.
Fire away.
21 to hit.
That hits. Actually, yeah, that hits.
That'd be 19 points of damage.
Is that including the lightning damage?
That's including the lightning.
How much was the lightning?
3.
3. So it'll be 22 points of damage. As you strike out and the lightning damage surges through the metal armor, it seems to do slightly more damage than you initially thought, and he sort of goes, "Argh! You will pay for that." Your second attack.
Attack 17 to hit.
That hits. Actually, no, he's going to parry that, and that will miss. He's going to use his reaction to parry it, which increases his AC by 2. So that second attack will miss, unfortunately.
Oh.
So bonus action.
I already used it.
Right, so you did too. So that is you. Next up is the banditos. So first and foremost, we're gonna have the one on you, Inari, is going to attack you with a 24. I believe that will hit. So that will be 6 points of slashing damage to you. We then have Bash gets surrounded. 4 attacks on Bash. Those 2 hit. Those 2 miss. So Bash will take 12 points of slashing damage, reduced to 6 because he's raging. And finally, Sadiq, you'll have one on you who will hit you with a 21. So you'll also take 6 points of slashing damage from the bandits as they all sort of again consolidate in, surrounding Bash. Next up is Fiela. With Alessandros, you're on board after that. So Fiela, to your right, you have 4 enemies surrounding Bash.
I am going to fork to lightning again.
Roger that.
So that is a 21 to hit.
That does hit. Which one are you aiming at? Just the one directly in front?
I'm going to do 2 bolts, one to each in front of me.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Definitely hits then.
I'm mathing. $19 each.
19 each. So both of those these ones look more like zombies. They're quite skinny and thin. There's not much to them as far as constitution's concerned, and they take that lightning damage. They're not wearing much armor either, and yeah, they don't look too happy at all. being shocked from behind. They sort of turn and look at you, smoke coming off their hair and clothing, not looking too happy. Anything else?
I'm good. How does Bash look?
Bash is
Good
fine.
so far to me.
Bash looks really happy.
Okay.
He's got a big smile, big old smile on his face. He's just having fun.
I can't bonus action my healing stag, can I? It's a bonus action, but I've already done.
Is it a leveled spell?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, you
so
can't.
that's a no.
On your cantrip.
So I'll just hold again.
Okay, so back to the top of the round with Alessandros. Still sitting on, where are you? In between Inari and Sadiq?
So the one attacking Inari, I take it that one's fine. Inari's dealing with that.
It's taken damage. It doesn't look like it's taken a huge amount of damage, but it's taken some damage.
I'm going to reverse my footing and go around to the right-hand side of Sadiq. No, not that way. Yeah, that way. I don't want to go near that guy. No way. And attack that one.
Okay, so you'll get your sneak attacks. You've got an ally within 5 feet. So you're going to attack the small dude, you chicken.
Yep. Okay, so that's 23.
That hits.
And that's 7 blade,
7 slashing,
6 fire,
6 fire, and your sneak attack.
nine sneak.
And 9 sneak attack damage. As you slash out with your rapier, your main hand rapier, doing some pretty good damage here. This thing's not looking good, not looking happy with you at all. As he sort of turns and sort of looks at you. He's a big half-orc dude, and he looks down on you and sort of says, "Puny human." And your second attack with your offhand, which I believe is a rapier as well, is it not?
Yes. 13,
So it'd be just a standard rapier.
20 to hit.
That hits.
Nine damage.
9 points of damage as you strike out with your second blow. And that is your turn.
Yep.
Done. We are now the bandit leader. The big dragonborn has taken a nasty blow from Het and from Sadiq now. Looks at you, Sadiq, and looks at Het, looks at you, and just sort of deciding what he wants to do. He surges forward, even though he's within 5 feet. He sort of puts his shoulder down and just charges forward towards you, Sadiq. I need you to make a strength saving throw for me.
Dirty 20.
And you sort of see him drop his shoulder, and as he drops his shoulder, you steady yourself, waiting for, you kind of know what's coming, and he drives his shoulder into your chest, and you force back with your own body weight, and you almost lock yourselves into almost like a rugby scrum sort of scenario where you're sort of vying for position, but he cannot break through you, so he stands back up and swings at you. He gets 3 attacks. Those 2 miss. Holy crap. That one does hit with a 19, and he will do 7 points of slashing damage with his dual wielding hand axes. So his first 2 sort of find armor and don't really do much. The last one finds a kink in your armor and does 7 points of slashing damage. He then does nothing. He stays exactly where he is. Inari, you're up.
Right, I guess I've still got this dude in front of me.
You certainly do.
So I will attack him with my scimitar.
Roger that. Strike away, 2 attacks.
Dirty 20 for the first one.
That hits.
25 for the second.
They both hit. Roll your damage.
18 all up.
$18 points of damage. Strike forward, both shots with your scimitar, finding flesh, stripping away a bit of flesh from one arm and piercing just below the ribcage. He's not looking healthy at all, this dude. No movement, bonus action.
No point. I'll keep hitting him.
Okie dokie. Next up is Bash. Bash is looking around, sort of giggling at these guys trying to attack him. He attacks the one that he's been attacking the whole time right in front of him. 2 attacks. Both hit. And he does 19 points of damage to this individual and almost severs him completely in half. And he sort of, his whole top half sort of slides off and sort of hits the edge of the fountain, the edge of the well there, and the rest of him sort of follows shortly after. And again, Bash just lets out a really guttural, sort of almost like a howl as he kills this thing. He's just having fun. He's enjoying himself. With that hit, it is your turn. Sadiq, you're on board after that. My audio went AFK.
Hit will move towards Alessandros, 10 feet. And then, if Hit moves towards Alessandros 10 feet, does he have line of sight on Inari's target as well as the group that Bash is with?
I would say yes.
Yep, so with that, Hit is going to trace his sigil in the air and say, Euthanasia. And he's going to target Old Vic's blast, one at Inari's zombie man dude.
Okay.
And one by Bash, so 1 each way.
No problem. Roll to hit.
Crap, that's a natural 1 and a 19.
A natural 1 and 19. So the natural 1 on Nari's target, 19 on Bash's target. The natural 1, you go to release the spell, and it just something just doesn't quite happen, and the spell doesn't really do anything. It kind of fizzles as you release the first one, and as you turn to the second charges up and fires. Roll your damage for your second.
That's
attack.
10 damage on the one by Bash. I rolled full 10, yeah.
10 damage.
1.
So that target takes 10 points of force damage as it strikes him in the side, and he sort of staggers to one side. Bash sort of looks at you and sort of grins, gives you a bit of a thumbs up.
It will also move 5 more feet, just backing away up towards Bash's direction. 5 more feet.
Done. And that is your turn.
That is Hit, thank you.
Sadiq, you're up.
Swinging at the enemy Dragonborn.
Dragonborn, no problem.
Glad you
19.
pointed that out.
Is that 19?
Yeah.
That does hit.
That's 15 points of damage.
15 points of damage. And he takes the damage and he sort of staggers a little bit, and he's starting to breathe heavy. There's blood coming from the corner of his mouth. One of his eyes is extremely bloodshot. And he leans forward and says, "You cannot win. The master will succeed."
That would be a 24 to hit.
And that does hit.
13 points of damage.
And with that, you decapitate the Dragonborn as he sort of spits this guttural sort of remark to you. You reach up and just take his head, and he drops to the ground.
Is there another enemy within 5 foot of me?
There is, immediately to your right.
Awesome. I'll take my bonus action attack on him there.
Do that. You've still got a second attack anyway, so take 2 attacks.
No, I only got 1. Or did I?
You only hit him the
I
once. Yeah, so you still had a second attack on that action. So you'll still
15
get
to
2. That does hit.
18 damage.
18 damage, and your final attack?
Probably not going to hit, but 10.
No, that does miss.
Don't forget your bless.
And you have bless, so you have a D4.
Let's say that was a 17 to hit. Nah, just joking. That's only a 12.
I was going to say 17 my ass. 12 to hit, so still misses, sorry. So you strike out, the first one finds its target, the second one just not sure what happened, but you just found armor. So with that is your turn, Sadiq, unless you want to move.
No, I'm happy right where I am.
And is now the banner's turn. The one that you just struck out at strikes back at you, and I think he misses with a 10.
Yeah.
Inari misses with a natural 1. Holy crap. Bash has 3 on him. 2 hit, 1 miss. Bash takes another 16 points of slashing damage, halved to 8. And he this whole time he is just chuckling. Even as he's being hit, it's kind of disheartening, not disheartening, kind of disconcerting a little bit. All you can hear is Bash just chuckling heartily as he's being attacked by these things. He's just having so much fun. With that, Fiala, you're up.
There's a space at the corner of the house in between Inari and Sadiq. I'd like to use that space to cast Mass Cure Wound.
Yep, no worries. What does Mass Cure Wounds do?
I can. It's a sphere with 30-foot sphere, and I can choose up to 6 creatures to heal.
So that would be Inari, Sadiq, and Alessandros, I would imagine. And possibly hit too. Yeah, it would get hit as well. So it'll pretty much get all of them except for you.
And that will give them 11 healing.
So Alessandros, Sadiq, hit, and Inari, you'll get 11 points of healing from Fiala's mass healing word.
Thank you.
That is a cool spell.
That's a cool spell, that one.
And I will hold, because I can't do anything really.
No worries. So with that, we are back to the top of the initiative order with Alessandros. We now currently have 4 combatants still in combat.
And attacking. .24 to hit.
That hits. Blade damage, flame damage, and sneak attack.
That's 8 for blade.
8 blade damage. Your fire damage.
8 fire.
8 fire, and your sneak attack?
14.
14 damage, so 8, 22. That's a lot of damage. Again, almost 30 points of damage as you strike out with both your rapiers, dealing with your first rapier, sorry, piercing through the armor on this creature, igniting him in the process as his eyes roll back in his head and he falls limp on your blade. And he is dead. You have movement and a second attack.
I use command word to put me flame sword out.
Okay.
Let's switch back to my bow.
Yep. We'll say that will use half your movement to switch back to your bow.
Now, do I have attack advantage on attack?
Not ranged attacks, no.
Oh, bugger.
And because you've already used used your main hand attack, you wouldn't be able to get an attack with your bow at this point.
I'll stay where I am.
No problem. So next, with that, we are
And only because Bash looks like he's enjoying the hell out of himself.
Inari, you're up.
I am going to hit this dude in front of me with my scimitar. 12 to hit the first one, miss.
That misses.
And 22 to hit the second.
That does hit.
5 damage for the second.
5 damage for the second, not 50. And
Give me 50.
your first attack he parries with his own scimitar, and the second one finds purchase as you sort of drop a sword and thrust under his armor. He's not looking healthy, but he's still around. You gonna stay there?
Yep.
So Bash is up. Bash is going to what's he gonna do? Oh shit, he had to roll on something. Where was it? Give me 1 second here, guys. Bash had to roll on... I forgot about this particular thing. This one here. Right, just got to roll a d8 quickly. And... necrotic energy bursts forth from Bash's body, and all these creatures standing in front of him take 5 points of necrotic damage. So that's those 3. And with that, Bash decides to go with a reckless attack for both of these attacks, which gives him advantage on both the attacks. He's going to attack one on each of the 2 targets next to him. That one hits. That one hits. So that will also mean they have advantage against him on their attacks also. But they both hit. They both do 5, 9, 14 points of damage for that one. For that one. So that one's dead. So you watch again as Bash chops the arms off one of these dudes, just hacks an arm off, and as he severs the arm, the guy cries out in pain and starts to bleed out and eventually dies. The other takes the same amount of damage and is not looking healthy at all. And that is Bash's turn. Next up is Het. And Sadiq, you're on board after that.
Het traces a sigil in the air, and he says, "High-speed dirt," and he misty steps right behind the one that is facing Inari.
Done.
That is Het's bonus action.
Yes.
As his free action, he says... No, actually, he's not even going to use his free action. As his action, he casts Dissonant Whispers.
Ooh.
He sort of whispers over the creature's shoulder, and he says, "With a heavy thump, a lifeless lump, you'll drop down one by one, and the creature needs to make a wisdom save."
It's not a good save for these guys. That is a 6.
Yeah, no, he is failing. Here comes some damage. That is 11. What sort of damage is that? I cannot remember. That is 11 psychic damage.
11 psychic damage. As you finish your whisper over the creature's shoulder, the guy you see him twitch. And he grabs his head and just cries out, and both hands on his ears, drops his weapon, clatters to the ground beside him. He is not looking good at all. His eyes start to bleed. With that bonus action movement, you're done.
That is all for hit, thank you.
Sadiq, you are up. Currently where you are, you have 1 left at between Het and Anari, and then you have 2 on Bash.
I'll go ahead with Bash.
You're able to rock right into combat with that one without any hassles at all.
With a 21 to hit.
That hits.
17 points of damage.
And with a single blow, you again decapitate this bandit from behind, and he falls to his
20
death.
on the next one.
That hits.
He just took 14 points. That's that one done, and one more
Yeah,
attack.
you don't even need the second attack. That dude. Again, double decapitation as you surge forward and decapitate one and take half a step into the next and just basically reverse the swing and catch the last one in a similar motion, removing both the heads and sort of almost an effortless motion. And Bash sort of looks at you and just gives you a approving nod and chuckles to himself, and sort of stands up straight and offers you the warrior's forearm, as we are now not out of initiative, but you guys are finished over there.
Yeah, shake his hand. It's like, damn it.
So that is pretty much your turn. Fiala, you're up next. We've got 1 creature left.
I'm gonna move to get in line of sight to cast something if I can.
Yep, done.
And I will try and cast Blight on him, which is going to be a 17 to hit.
That hits.
Okay, more math. $45 damage.
What was that spell?
Blight, 4th level. I
4th level Blight. Holy crap. There's no save with that, is there?
Oh, there's a con save.
I was going to say, I'm pretty sure there's a save with that. I think he will. The Constitution's not that great. What did he roll? Ooh, he might be lucky. No, he failed. So 42 points of blight of damage.
Yep.
Anari and Het, you see this creature just wither and age and turn grey and then into dust right before your eyes, and he just crumbles into nothingness.
Wow.
Poof. As he drops in a pile of ash. And with that, we are out of initiative, guys. And that is the combat done. And pretty much as you guys finish the combat, you notice a few of the townsfolk have sort of started to poke their head around corners, and sort of they've heard the fighting and have sort of come to investigate it to see what's happening and what's going on. And again, mainly humans, a few halflings, but they all look scared and just worried. Alessandra, you noticed the halfling that you spoke to poking his head around one corner too, sort of looking out, and he sort of catches your eye and sort of gives you a sort of a half pie sort of scared wave of recognition. What are we doing, guys?
All right. So what's the go?
Who are you speaking to?
Maybe
Talk
we
to
should.
everyone in the town.
Maybe we need to check why these people are here and what they did. Is there anything in their pockets? Allie,
Yeah, that's probably a good idea.
This is where you.
So you're going to search the corpses.
Yes.
Roll an investigation check for me.
No, I'm gonna help.
Roll at advantage. Why not?
I rolled a 16.
16. So as you go through the pockets of these bodies, the few of the guys dressed up as zombies, you can see that they're dressed in just like ripped clothing, and it's covered in blood and guts and stuff, and it's definitely designed to be a ruse. They don't have a hell of a lot on them, but you get to some of the more armored bandits, and you can generally tell, your experience, Sadiq, and yours, Alessandros, you can tell these guys are just common bandits. They've obviously seen an opportunity to gain a foothold somewhere and take over a pretty prosperous trade town, and so generally that's what you sort of get from just checking their positions. Searching the body of the Dragonborn, however, you do find a piece of parchment which has the prophecy chant written on it from way back. You guys recognize it instantly. He also has a brand on the inside of his forearm, which is not dissimilar to a dragon's head. It's very crudely done, but I would imagine you guys are intelligent enough from all the information you've gathered that he is possibly working for or a part of a cult or something that is to do with Kosas and Asmodeus and everything to do with this plot to breach the hells. Searching the other bodies, you find similar marks on all the rest of these guys. In different places, whether it's on the inside forearm, on the back of the neck, on the chest, just it's branded somewhere on their body. Going through all the other possessions, you do find over the course of the bodies, you do find about 140 gold pieces. You find a number of different weapons. You will find 6 regular scimitars, all very battle worn and well used. You also have two hand axes, which the bandit leader was using. He has a bandolier sort of around his body, which has a lot of different daggers. It looks like there's probably 8 or 10 different daggers in it. There's a couple of spaces missing where he has thrown a couple, but he has a bandolier with daggers on it as well.
Actually, I know where those daggers are. Hang on, I'll just pull one out.
Him on his person alone, he has 60 gold pieces, and he is carrying in a satchel 2 greater healing potions, and he is also carrying a small little pouch inside this satchel. And Alessandro, as you open it up, it looks to be a series of small rings that have a clasp on them. You've spent time as a girl, so you look at them and you instantly recognize them as earrings. But it's kind of odd. I mean, there's generally earrings come in pairs, but there's 7 of them. and they're all roughly the same. They're very plain. There's nothing flash about them. Just a simple hoop-style earring with a clasp on it. But they're in this tight little pouch, and it's kind of odd that someone of dragonborn nature would be carrying earrings. You also find a ring, just a small silver ring with a carving of a goat's horn on it.
Master Het,
Yes.
is your detect magic still going?
It would have
No, but
expired
I
by
can
now.
cast it again.
Do you cast detect magic again?
It casts detect magic again.
And as you cast detect magic, the usual items that you were all carrying shine with their arcane energy, and indeed the items that Alessandros is now holding in her hand both glow with an arcane presence.
Oh yeah, Ellie, those things are super duper magic.
You can't identify, can you, Het?
Well, I believe I do have a scroll of identify, just one. We can use it on whichever item you wish at the moment.
What's lit up? The earrings?
Both of them.
Earrings
the
and
ring,
ring.
the earrings and the ring.
Probably the ring.
Yeah, probably the ring.
Okay. Het unrolls the scroll from his backpack and he says the chant, Ilom Mudas Vargastami, and casts Identify.
And with that, the ring reveals itself as the Ring of the Goat, which is in D&D Beyond. So if you want to add that to your party funds or whatever, or but Het, if you look it up, I should better bring it up here actually. Give me 1 second. It's in my collections. God, I gotta find it.
Het, put that on. I think that would be perfect for you.
Oh, you found it.
Het knows what it does. Het is happy eating his meat.
Oh, yes.
But anyone could wear this. Any one of you could wear this if we're getting low on sustenance.
Yes, but you, Het lets everyone know that while wearing this carved horn ring, you can consume virtually any organic matter, such as grass, leaves, twigs, linen, or leather, and find it tasty and sustaining as normal food.
Fiona, would you like the ring?
With not a lot of food for someone. This is the sort of item you would have to attune to, so it wouldn't be a quick swap or anything like that.
Fiona, would you like the ring?
Allie, you're the picky eater around here, but I'll take it because it's tiny. I'll take it.
Oh, pardon me. So you'll take the ring, no worries.
Sorry, Het would like to know, Ellie, if you're just going to divvy up that gold between us. And I guess we gotta include Bash too, right?
Oh, it's okay. I don't need anything. It's fine. I get paid. Aslan pays me, so we're on kind of retainer. So I'm all good. I'm just happy smushing people's faces, and that was fun. Did you see that dude? Cut him in half. It was awesome.
So that's 60 gold, was it, Ellie, that divided by 5 of us?
I've already put it into the kitty.
There was 200 total.
Oh my goodness. Hit would like to take his cut now if he can.
Sure. So what's that?
200 divided by 5.
Hang on. Hit.
It's 40 gold each.
Have this diamond.
A diamond does not help Hit. Hit will take 40 gold. Thank you.
The diamond's worth 500 gold.
I'll take the diamond.
Hands the diamond to Fiala.
Fiala, that
add
diamond
it
might be
to your
handy.
inventory.
Yeah, it's a 500 gold piece diamond. Fiala.
Nice.
Right. While you guys are discussing this too, Bash sort of says, is kicking around some of the bodies, and he says, "Oh, well, any of you know what this might do?" And he looks over to you, Hit, and hands you a vial, which is bright indigo liquid, bubbles sort of within it. You sort of turn it and shake it, but it just doesn't mix. Like these indigo swirling liquid, and it's almost got like a silvery sort of look to it as well, but it doesn't mix when you shake it. It just all still keeps swirling and bubbling as if it's doing it on its own.
Hand it in.
Has Hit
I'll
seen this
identify it.
before? Oh, good idea. Hit hands it to Sadiq.
So Sadiq, I need you to roll for your alchemy. Add your proficiency as well. So D20 plus your proficiency.
How much gold was it meant to give you, Hit?
40.
17.
17.
Wrong.
So you take the stopper off and you give it a bit of a sniff, and you sort of dip your finger in it and give it a bit of a taste, and sort of look at it in the air, sort of turn it and twist it, and you determine that when this particular potion is drunk by an arcane spellcaster, they're able to regain a spell slot with a combined level that is less or equal to D4 plus 2. There is a bit of a drawback, however, due to the volatile nature of this particular potion. The body builds up a mild resistance to it immediately after drinking, and once it's been drunk, you can't benefit from it again for 2 days. So essentially, in addition, as a warning, when this potion is consumed, you must succeed on a Constitution saving throw or be poisoned for 1 hour. And the DC will be determined by me, which I've already said. So you get a potential recovery of spell slots of a D4 plus 2.
Fiona, this is like your birthday or something. I feel that would be very good for you as well.
Arcane, not divine.
It's arcane, it's not nature, so it would be, yeah.
Right. Well, I guess that anyone else with arcane spells here?
I think that's you, Mr. Het. I'm pretty sure you as the arcane practitioner in the group.
Excellent. Thank you, team. Is that on Beyond DM?
That is, it is called Potion of Arcane Recovery.
Thank you, team. And he takes it and puts it on his belt.
Right, so mark down that you have the ring of the goat, whoever has that, and also the earrings, the pouch of earrings, mark that down, and arcane recovery potion as well. So, like I say, with that, I mean, you find other bits and pieces as well with these guys. You find a few, 2 or 3 pieces of leather armor, which are obviously well used and pretty battle worn after the battle. A set of a chain shirt, which is what the Dragonborn was wearing, and that's pretty much it. not really much else of use. That halfling that you spoke to, Alessandros, is now sort of ventured forth and sort of, as you guys are going through the bodies, and he sort of says, are they all dead? Is it safe? Hello?
I believe it is.
Well, thank you very much. Helm, smile upon you. We're so happy that you've gotten rid of these. We thought they were undead, but it turned out they were bandits, and they took over the town. We're so happy. And by this time, a few other people have sort of gathered around and have sort of walked up and they're shaking Bash's hand and they're sort of, or just patting you guys on the shoulder, or on the back and stuff, and sort of you can see that the townspeople here have had a bit of rough time. They're all malnourished, looking a little skinny and tired and scared. But this little halfling to me says, they were taking a cart to the east every day, saying it was for their master. I'm not sure who the master was, but it's about an hour to the east where they were taking this cart, I believe. They took a cart there this afternoon.
So we have time to rest then. Awesome.
Oh, you can rest here. We don't have much food left. They've been sending it all away. But it won't take us a few days, hopefully, to get things back in order. But you're welcome to stay and rest for the evening. Any food and drink that we have here is yours, definitely. Isn't that right? And a few cheers sort of go up, sort of half-hearted, but definitely people are relieved.
So who wants to go get the cart? Anybody?
Het will go get the cart if you wish.
I'll go with them.
Yes, just in case I struggle. The animals might be scared of me. Good idea.
I was just thinking in case we get attacked, but that's okay.
Right, and with that, we will call it there, guys. We are pretty much bang on 10:30. So Het and Ari will venture out, grab the wagon, and bring it back to the village of Helonde. We will pick up at this point next Sunday, same time, 7:30 p.m. New Zealand Standard Time. We pick up the story and have the lions resting up and doing their thing in Helonde and deciding what their next course of action is. Will they decide to track down where the cart of trade goods has been taken? Will there indeed be a mage waiting for them? Who knows? Until then, thank you very much, guys, for hanging out with us. The Dark Ravine, dude, fucking stop it, man. Seriously, you have donated so many bits tonight. I really appreciate it. But seriously, stop, man. It's not cheap to donate that shit. I know you're doing it because you want to, but yeah, it's awesome. I really appreciate it. I'm not sure how much total you've donated tonight, but I know it's a fucking shitload.
1,215.
There you go. 1,215 bits have been donated tonight by the Dark Ravine. Dude, you're a legend. Appreciate it, man. Yeah, holy crap, there's a lot. But we need to divvy up some XP for the players.
Yes, we do.
Yes, we do. So, let's have a look at the encounter here. So our encounter, plus roleplay, plus bonuses, just because I'm a generous DM, we will say 1,800 XP each for tonight's gameplay. He kicks Savage off number 2. Kicking the cripple. Right, so 1,800 points of XP team. That will include Mr. Bashnag, so I better give Bash his XP.
He might get upset with you.
Yeah, he might get a little upset if he doesn't get any XP, but that is our show for this evening. We are going to raid the Lost Chapters as we normally do, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to do the thank you thing very shortly. But again, thank you from me, thank you from the players. You guys rock, you guys are awesome. Great roleplay, great combat. Things died. You guys didn't do too badly with your damage. Bit of echo there. Can't do that. But make sure if you're not following Lost Chapters chat, make sure you go check them out and follow them. We are going to raid them again. They are doing a Curse of Strahd campaign. First time DM also. But good bunch of guys, some awesome characters over there. 1 second while I type out this crap. The Lost Chapters, here we go. So, be here next Sunday for more Paradigm Bold, episode 36, but also join us next Thursday, this coming Thursday, 11 a.m. New Zealand Standard Time, if you can, if you are in New Zealand, Australia. Otherwise, it'll be Wednesday the 29th. Ranging from 4 p.m. onwards. I think 4 p.m. Eastern is roughly our start time there. We will be doing our own Curse of Strahd campaign with Twin Gats Gaming, Mr. Malice, Deathvale TV, and the SBC, who is kicking around in our channel tonight. 2 brand new D&D players there with Deathvale and Twin Gats. Mr. Malice and Savage, both experienced players, joining us in a official Curse of Strahd campaign. So come hang out with us on Thursday for that. Keep an eye on the Twitter and the Discord. Obviously the YouTube, make sure you get on there and subscribe. All VODs for both D&D shows will be available on YouTube 2 days after the live show. So until then, thank you very much everyone. We'll see you next time.